The Academy Awards are usually all about summer blockbusters and movies that draw huge crowds to cinemas. But the pandemic has turned this notion on its head. Netflix dominated this year's Oscars with 7 awards. And as the competition heats up and more platforms spend big on their productions, the success could keep streaming in even after the pandemic. Mobin Nasir reports.
It was a rare outing for movie stars. After more than a year of connecting with fans and fraternity remotely from their homes, many were back on the red carpet for this year's Academy Awards. And the list of winners stood out this year because many of the films featured never appeared in a movie theater.
Generally, in the past, Hollywood has celebrated the whole idea of the theater-going experience, a group of people sharing something together, sharing a motion picture experience in the theater, laughing together, crying together, getting scared together. Well, this year's movies are nothing like that.
Instead of box office blockbusters, productions by streaming services dominated the event.
This has been a year in which people experienced all of their film watching in a totally different way, watching older movies from their DVD collection, watching things on Netflix, binging on TV series, and not looking at movies at all because the movies you go out to on a Friday night weren't there to go out to.
5 of the 8 movies nominated for Best Picture premiered on Netflix, Amazon, Hulu or HBO Max. By the end of the night, Netflix was the big winner with 7 trophies. Disney came in second with 5 awards. Experts say the popularity of streaming services is not transient, and it's changing the way Hollywood works.
The motion pictures coming out of the US are in a whole different state now. It's not Hollywood anymore. Streamers are dominating. Netflix seems to get as many nominations as anybody else does. So we have a whole new model.
This year's list of winners is also the most ethnically diverse ever. Black British movie star Daniel Kaluya won Best Supporting Actor, and Best Supporting Actress went to South Korean Yoo Jung-yoon. Mia Neal and Jamaica Wilson became the first black women to win in the makeup and hairstyling categories, and Beijing-born Chloe Zhao became the first woman of color to win Best Director.
Is for Asian filmmakers, I think for all filmmakers, is we have to stay true to who we are, and we have to tell the stories that we feel connected to. We shouldn't feel like there's only a certain type of story we have to tell, but it's a way for us to connect with other people. That's why I love filmmaking.
The Academies also mandated ethnic diversity among film crews as a prerequisite for nominations, so the trend towards increased diversity is expected to continue. And the rising popularity of streaming services suggests that success at the US box office is no longer the only road to the red carpet. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Well, let's get more on the Oscars now with Beth Webb in London. She's a film and TV writer and a broadcaster and is a contributing editor at the industry magazine Empire. Welcome to the program, Beth. Now, let's talk about the big winner of the night, and that's Netflix. It won a total of 7 trophies, more than any other studio at the Oscars, and it also came into Sunday night with the most nominations with 36. Can you tell us, how is Netflix managing to really dominate Hollywood right now?
Well, it's been in the works for a few years now. If you cast back to the Oscars a few years ago when Roma, Alfonso Cuarón's film, swept all the big awards for the night. So I think it's placed its stakes a while ago. And then with the real shift in the industry this year, with cinemas being cut off entirely, the hand really has been forced. And I think now is the time to really consider that streaming is a major player in how we consume films moving forward.
It sure is, and because of the pandemic, the Academy did make a one-time exception, allowing movies that premiered via streaming and weren't released theatrically to be able to actually enter the awards. As a result, we saw 5 of the 8 Best Picture nominees pick up awards, or should I say, really premiere exclusively on streaming services or continuously alongside with cinemas as well. Do you think this trend will remain even after the pandemic?
Well, I think at least for the next year, it really comes down to how safe people feel in going back to the cinema. I know here in the UK, it's the 17th of May when we'll be encouraged to go back, and vaccines are rolling out currently. So I imagine for the next year or so, it will be another testing ground to see what the Oscars next year will be like. But yeah, I think moving forward, this could well be a relax in the regulations that we need. It was a huge night for diversity, which perhaps couldn't have been achieved without these relaxed regulations. So let's hope that in a sweep to be more diverse and inclusive moving forward, these regulations will be relaxed.
And that is the big question, isn't it? Whether or not people will actually return to the cinemas this year or after the pandemic. Because before the Oscars in the pre-show, there was a video that was running that really urged people to return to movie theatres this summer in the US. There was a hashtag, "The big screen is back." And last year, we saw box office numbers really plummet in North America to $2.2 billion in revenue. And that is a massive 80% drop to what we saw in 2019, when around $11 billion were raked in at the box office. Do you think people will actually return to the cinemas even after the pandemic?
Well, I hope so. I mean, it was in Frances McDormand's acceptance speech, wasn't it, that you need to go out and see Nomadland on as big a screen as you possibly can. I think the question as well is, will there be cinemas to go back to? Some much-loved independent cinemas have unfortunately had to close their doors, where their hand has been forced there, and they just haven't recovered. But I do think that, to sound a little bit romantic, cinema lives, and I think that people will want to go back and, you know, smell the popcorn and sit on a bad cinema carpet and enjoy that experience, that communal experience of going out there and just being immersed in cinema in a way that you just can't get in your front room.
Okay, Beth Webb, we'll have to leave it there. But thank you again for joining us on Money Talks.